Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about when it's a good time to start looking for an art or illustration mentor. Obviously this is based on my own experience, but I think it's going to be helpful for anyone trying to improve themselves in a creative endeavor that can look like motion design, just art for fun, illustration, music, etc. So let's jump into it. I'm going to talk about my 6-month mentorship that I did last year. I'm going to go over why I decided to invest in one-on-one mentorship, what I was looking for in a mentor, and why I decided to go with the one that I picked, and my thoughts on how it helped my art and helped me progress in terms of the children's book industry, and why it was a great investment. So I decided to start looking for a mentor about 2 years into my improvement journey, if you will. Basically, I'd been going super hardcore on just producing a lot of pieces for 2 years, using any free or cheaper resources. So that looked like YouTube videos from other artists, illustration podcasts, paid illustration courses, and illustrator Patreons that were in the industry. At this point, I felt like I was kind of plateauing and knowing what I needed to do to take my art to the next level. I had kind of figured out a general style and subjects I did like drawing, so I felt like I was ready for more specific feedback to get to an advanced level. And at this point, I tried a few things before I went for the one-on-one mentorship. I enrolled in the Good Ship illustration course, which I enjoyed and I would recommend, but it wasn't targeted towards me, obviously, and I felt like a lot of the style that was shown in that class was very different than mine, and I felt like that course was more about how to come up with good ideas rather than specifics with art skills, which is fine, and I really enjoyed their interviews that they showed in the class and the homework assignments, but it wasn't making me feel like I was getting out of that plateau. It just gave me more things to think about. So after that, I did pay, I'm not gonna name them, but an illustrator that has a Patreon. They used to do like critiques for your portfolio written up or in a video form, and you would just send it to them and pay a certain amount of money. And that was helpful, but they kind of didn't, I felt like they were too nice. They didn't really give me anything to improve on. And again, there's only so much you can say in a little paragraph you write about yourself to someone that just reads it. They don't talk to you, they just give you feedback. And then from there, I tried getting agents to look at my portfolio. So I did get one agent to do, I think it was a 30-minute call, or maybe it was longer, to give me feedback on my portfolio. But in the conversation, they were telling me some things that I didn't necessarily agree with. It's hard when going to someone to get professional feedback and they're really well known in the industry. You don't want to push back and be like, but you don't get it. Like, wait, let me explain this. And that's also a personality thing for me. I'm willing to stand up for myself, but when I'm paying someone to give me feedback, I don't really want to interrupt them to try and explain things. I did that, and then I also paid for this agency. Orange Beak Studios was doing portfolio reviews as well, and their stuff was helpful, but it conflicted with some of the stuff that agent had told me, and it was all just kind of confusing, and I felt like it wasn't specific to me because they didn't have enough context in that small amount of communication I was able to have with them. And not to say that their feedback was not valuable, it was, but I just knew that I wanted someone that I could see regularly, have face-to-face conversations with, like over video, and just have them get to know me so I could ask questions and get comfortable with them. Criteria I think people should follow is that I was keeping an eye out for someone that had testimonials from past mentees, and preferably the mentees would show their art style and it would be varied, so I know that that person can handle giving feedback to people with different styles, because sometimes that's an issue. If someone has an extreme preference for hyper-realistic animal drawings and then they see my art, they're gonna be like, what the fuck, do better? That's a dramatic, but you get the idea. I was looking for someone that had extensive experience in children's books specifically, which I felt was gonna be hard to find someone, but it worked out. I would recommend looking for someone that has experience in the industry you're trying to break into. So I didn't want a fine art mentor, I wanted an illustration mentor. I was looking for someone that was not going to make me poor after the mentorship. So obviously when you're paying someone one-on-one as a trade for their time, and especially an hour, it's probably going to be more expensive than just paying for a course that's pre-recorded and they don't have to give you any more of their personal time. If you're poor and then too stressed out to make art, that's not gonna be good, right? This is like maybe not the most important thing, but it was important to me. I was looking for someone that had a business outside of their mentorship. So I wanted someone that was still doing things, still putting things out into the universe, involved with creativity, so that I knew that they didn't just stop learning and getting new experiences to mentor people. I wanted someone that was present in the industry, so they're keeping up with trends and stuff like that. So after thinking about all of this criteria, a pretty obvious choice came up. I'm sure some of you have heard of the Illustration Department podcast. It's probably one of the most popular illustration podcasts out there. And I had been listening to this podcast for months. Giuseppe has hundreds of episodes with super famous illustrators, art directors, editors, and just in general professionals in the illustration industry. That alone was a pretty good, testimonial to his experience. And not only does he have this podcast, before he started it, he was a senior art director at Penguin Random House for over a decade. Giuseppe, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly how long. I just know it was a really long time. Originally, I wasn't actually looking for someone that was on the other side of illustration. Like, he is an artist, but he was a children's book illustrator. He was on the other side, the person hiring illustrators for children's books and directing them to get them out. So that was actually a plus for me, because I feel like it's rare to just have someone that knows exactly what the industry is looking for be able to just give you all the answers. Like I said, I was at a point in my art that I wasn't really at a basic level anymore. That's something I do want to point out. I think if you're just starting out, I would not recommend looking for a mentor right away unless you've got a lot of money to burn, specifically because you need to figure out a lot of things about your own style, what you like drawing, specifically what projects you want to get hired for. And if you're just immediately going to a mentor, they're gonna have to go through a lot of basics with you that you could find online for free or much cheaper. So in Giuseppe's podcast episodes, he'll often mention that he mentors illustrators, and for whatever reason, this didn't click in my head for a long time that could be me. I was like, oh, they must know him personally, or it must be super, super expensive, or I don't know, it just never clicked to go to his website and see how all of that works. So anyway, I went, found the option, signed up for it, and within the next 2 weeks I was starting a mentorship with him, which was really great. I signed up for a 6-month mentorship, which I believe is the longest span of time that you can buy on his website, and you can definitely renew, but that's the commitment I wanted to make, and I just wanted to commit for the longest time, so it kind of forced me to just focus for the next 6 months. So the format is basically we met every other week for an hour over Google Meets or something like that. And for the most part, this went on the entirety, but we did have a few breaks where I didn't see him for a month, or I skipped a week or something like that. So basically, it was really flexible mentorship where I kind of could direct it in any direction I wanted. So the way that we ended up kind of working every meeting was I would get an assignment from him from the previous time, start it, or at least get it to a good point that he could actually give feedback. We would talk about that. Sometimes he would draw over it. And then if we had time besides that, we would talk about industry stuff, like how I should be writing my emails, how to network, basic portfolio advice, stuff like that. So it was really flexible. A lot of the videos I make are from things I learned from my mentorship with him. So I kind of went crazy during this mentorship, and I made, I think, over 20 pieces, which he did say was probably the most anyone has done with him so far. So basically my entire portfolio now is from pieces I made with him. I think every single one I did made it into my portfolio. So I'll see if I can find my portfolio before the mentorship versus after, just so you can see the differences and improvement. And also I'll share a before and after, if I can find it, of basically what my art would look like in our meeting, and then the final piece, just so you can see how it hopefully improved. I don't think I have any finished pieces where he then gave feedback, because that would be too fast to work in a week. That means I would have to finish the piece completely and then show it to him. So anyway, they're gonna be more sketchy on the left, and then you'll see the finished on the right, and hopefully you'll see some changes in colors, composition, sizes of things, stuff like that. So do I think it was worthwhile? Yes, I think it was a great investment, and I don't think my art would have improved as much as it did in that span of time. I think it would have been possible on my own, but it would have taken a lot of extra research, time, And it was just fun having someone to talk to that I could trust their feedback. I think he was great at giving really straightforward feedback, but he didn't make me feel bad about myself. He was really great at not trying to change my art style, but just push me to make it more elegant and professional. I think he's got a lot of experience working with all kinds of art styles, so that was a huge pro for me. And I think that's a great sign of someone that knows what they're doing, because they can be objective about something that is so subjective. As far as questions about the industry, he pretty much had an answer for everything, and I think that's going back to the fact that he does other things outside of his mentorship, like his podcast. He is constantly interviewing people that are working in the industry and are super accomplished and have years and years of experience. So it's great having him funnel all of that to specific questions I had. And most importantly, he gave me confidence that I was at a level that I could start sending my portfolio out, because before I was kind of like, I think my stuff is good. I'm doing most of the stuff people say. I've been working really hard for a while, but I don't know, is this professional level? And because he was so good at giving straightforward feedback that was objective, he didn't sugarcoat anything, I just really felt like I could trust him, and that gave me a lot of confidence in my art and gave me more motivation to keep pushing. I would definitely do another mentorship with him if I feel like I'm hitting another plateau, but right now, as I've said in past videos, I'm working on sending out my portfolio, and I have a few things that I want to add. So for the future, and I'll probably make a general update video, I'm going to really be focusing on getting better at drawing humans this year, and I'm excited to just work on skills rather than trying to make portfolio pieces. So after all of that, if I feel like I still am not getting hired or I've hit another plateau, I will hit him up again. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say about mentorships. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments. If you have done a mentorship with someone, I would love to know who it was with and how you liked it. And yeah, bye.